The holographic display flickered to life, casting a pale glow over the control room of Station Apex. Commander Squar of the Salaxi Dominion appeared, his three mandibles clicking in smug satisfaction. Behind him, a glittering asteroid belt floated in space. What was once Earth, reduced to debris. His translated voice oozed condescension. "People of the Galactic Council," he began, "today we celebrate a monumental triumph. The troublesome human homeworld has been reformatted into a far more manageable asteroid field." Ambassador Kira Cho sipped her coffee, watching the broadcast from the hidden observation deck. She raised an eyebrow. "Reformatted," she muttered. "That's the best line he's got after wiping out an entire planet? Amateur." She set her mug down, stifling a laugh at his theatrics. Squar continued, gesturing dramatically. Humanity's dangerous creativity and chaotic nature posed too great a threat to galactic stability. Now, with their homeworld destroyed, their pitiful colonies will soon follow. The station AI, Arya, pinged softly in Kira's ear. "Ambassador, your heart rate is rising. Shall I prepare another coffee?" "Oh, absolutely," Kira said, standing and stretching. "I'm going to need it for what's coming next." She waved a hand, summoning a series of holographic screens. Each one displayed reports from human colonies scattered across the solar system. Mars, Europa, and Titan were all very much operational and buzzing with activity. Kira smirked, her dark eyes glinting. "Let me tell you something about humans, Arya. We're like cockroaches. You can smash our nest, but you'll never get rid of us. And when you try, well, you just make us mad. Shall I activate the Lazarus Protocol?" Arya asked. Kira grinned. "You better believe it. Let's remind these bugs what happens when you mess with the wrong species." The Lazarus Protocol message hit Mars base Olympus first. Commander Adrian Park read it while crushing yet another stress ball into oblivion. "Atlas," he growled to the base AI. "How many of us are left?" Atlas materialized as a floating Rubik's Cube, constantly solving itself. "Approximately 2.3 million humans remain across solar colonies. And what do we have for defenses?" The cube rotated thoughtfully. "If you mean military-grade equipment, inventory is modest. 3 outdated satellites, 1 non-functional laser cannon, and a few pieces of surplus gear. However, if you mean creative improvisation..." Holographic displays lit up the command center, showcasing a slew of re-engineered civilian tools. Mining equipment with plasma attachments, drones outfitted with makeshift weaponry, and orbital platforms bristling with modified tech. Adrian let out a low whistle. "I'll take it," he said. "Let's see what humanity can do when we stop playing nice." On Europa, Dr. Raj Patel was already ahead of the curve. He stood before a heavily modified ice drill, now capable of shooting superheated plasma. "You beautiful monstrosity," he murmured, patting the machine affectionately. "Atlas, how are the others coming along?" The AI's voice responded. "Dr. Jang on Titan has converted atmospheric processors into chemical warfare generators. Venus has transformed its heat shields into orbital bombardment platforms. And Dakota Freeman, well, she's working on something unconventional." In the asteroid belt, Dakota Freeman stood in a control room, surrounded by holographic schematics. A swarm of retrofitted mining drones buzzed on the screens, their plasma cutters gleaming like deadly fireflies. She gestured wildly at her engineering team. "Look, all I'm saying is, we programmed these drones to swarm while playing Flight of the Bumblebee. It's terrifying and hilarious. A win-win." Her chief engineer, Max Wong, rubbed his temples. "Boss, why classical music?" "Psychological warfare," Dakota replied. "Atlas, back me up." The AI appeared. Salaxi neural systems struggle with overlapping stimuli, particularly complex audio patterns. Classical music could cause severe disorientation. "See?" Dakota grinned. "Murder hornets with a soundtrack." As reports of improvised weapons and unconventional strategies poured in, the leaders of humanity's scattered colonies convened via holographic conference. Adrian Park addressed the group, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Look, we may have lost Earth, but we are far from beaten. They think they've broken us. All they've done is remove our last reason to hold back. Dr. Patel nodded. I've got weaponized ice drills ready. Murder drones are prepped, Dakota added. And they come with music. Dr. Jang from Titan spoke up serenely. We've weaponized atmospheric processors. Who knew they'd make great nerve gas factories? Adrian laughed. Atlas, pull this all together. I want a unified defense network online now. Already done, Commander, Atlas replied. By the way, the Salaxi are broadcasting their victory speech to the galactic social networks. Oh, this I've got to see, Dakota said, cracking her knuckles. Atlas, tell me we've got a meme warfare team ready. Atlas's Rubik's Cube avatar spun with amusement. Every human under 30 with a device and a grudge is already on it. Current trending topics include top 10 reasons not to celebrate early and pictures taken moments before disaster. Adrian couldn't help but smile. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we remind the galaxy why humans are the absolute best at comebacks. Back on Station Apex, Kira Cho sipped her freshly brewed coffee and watched Squar wrap up his speech with a flourish. Let this be a warning to all species, Squar proclaimed. The price of chaos is extinction. Kira raised her mug in a mock toast. Oh, honey, she murmured, you have no idea what chaos looks like. But don't worry, you're about to find out. She turned to Arya. Activate Operation Cockroach Motel. And make me another coffee. As you wish, Ambassador. Shall I calculate the odds of success? Don't bother, Kira said, finishing her drink with a smirk. The Salaxi already made the biggest mistake of all, and that is, Arya asked. They pissed off 2.3 million humans at the same time, and didn't even let me finish my morning coffee. The asteroid belt lit up with a chaotic symphony of motion and purpose. Retrofitted mining drones swarmed like angry wasps, plasma cutters blazing in the void. Across the solar system, hidden outposts buzzed with activity as humanity's last bastion prepared to strike back. In the command center of Mars base Olympus, Commander Adrian Park stood at the helm of a rapidly expanding web of strategy. Holographic displays blinked to life around him, showing real-time status updates from every human colony. Status report, he barked. Atlas materialized beside him. Mars atmospheric harvesters are now doubling as chemical dispersal systems. Europa's plasma drills are en route to the asteroid belt. Titan has initiated atmospheric sabotage protocols, and Dakota Freeman's drones are fully operational. Shall I add Flight of the Bumblebee to the playlist now? Adrian smirked. Not yet. Save it for the encore. A message flashed across the screen. Kira Cho's calm, confident voice cutting through the tension. Commander Park, this is Ambassador Cho. I've initiated Operation Cockroach Motel. Be advised. Things are about to get messy. Adrian chuckled, his stress ball momentarily forgotten. About time. What's your play? The display switched to Kira's holographic feed. She leaned casually against the console of Station Apex, her coffee mug in hand. Let's just say the Salaxi are about to get a taste of their own arrogance. Arya, patch us into their command channels. Deep within the Salaxi Dominion flagship, Conqueror's Edge, Commander Squar basked in the afterglow of his so-called victory. The bridge hummed with the efficient movements of his crew as they navigated the debris field that had once been Earth. Squar's mandibles clicked in self-satisfaction as he reviewed reports of the Galactic Council's praise. Commander, an officer interrupted, we're receiving an unauthorized transmission on our secured frequencies. Squar's compound eyes narrowed. Trace it. A holographic feed crackled into existence before him, and to his astonishment, a human woman appeared. She looked entirely unbothered, sipping from a ceramic mug and wearing what humans called a smirk. Commander Squar, Kira said, her voice dripping with faux sweetness. Congratulations on your victory. It must feel so good to destroy a planet. Big day for you. Squar's mandibles flared. Who are you to address me with such insolence? Oh, I'm just a humble survivor, Kira replied, twirling her mug. But more importantly, I'm here to let you know you've made a slight miscalculation. Squar hissed. Human colonies are scattered, weak, and dependent. You have no power. Kira's smirk widened. Sure about that? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've just woken a sleeping dragon. And, spoiler alert, we're very cranky without coffee. The feed cut abruptly, and Squar barked at his communications officer. Where is that signal coming from? Impossible to pinpoint, Commander, the officer replied, his antennae twitching nervously. It's bouncing off multiple human installations. Before Squar could respond, an alarm blared across the bridge. On the surface of Europa, Dr. Raj Patel oversaw the deployment of what his team had lovingly dubbed the glacier burners. Plasma drills, originally designed to bore through thick ice, now roared to life, carving through Scilaxy outposts in orbit. The drills fired in synchronized bursts, each shot hitting with pinpoint accuracy. Raj, a young technician, called, "The Scilaxy have detected us. They're moving reinforcements this way." Raj grinned. "Good. Let them come. More test subjects for my new toy." He flipped a switch, and the drills shifted to a higher frequency, their plasma bolts heating to unprecedented levels. Scilaxy defense drones swarmed toward Europa's surface, but the automated turrets fired with deadly precision. The drills punctured through their ranks, cutting the drones apart like scissors through paper. In the asteroid belt, Dakota Freeman leaned back in her chair, watching her swarm of drones converge on a Scilaxy supply convoy. "All right, boys and girls," she said to her team. "Time to hit play." From her control panel, Dakota queued up Flight of the Bumblebee, the dramatic melody blasting through the drone's external speakers as they closed in. The Scilaxy convoy scrambled to adjust, but the sheer speed and chaos of the drones overwhelmed them. Plasma cutters and improvised explosives tore through their ships. "Boss," Max Wong called out, "we've got visual on Scilaxy reinforcements inbound." "Perfect," Dakota said, cracking her knuckles. "Activate the disco ball." The holographic feed switched to a view of her secondary fleet, mining lasers bouncing off a mirrored sphere suspended in space. The resulting light show disoriented the Scilaxy ships, their targeting systems struggling to keep up. "Let's see them fight when they can't aim straight," Dakota said, her grin widening. Back on Mars, Adrian watched the chaos unfold with satisfaction. Atlas provided a steady stream of updates. "Commander," the AI said, "the Scilaxy fleet has divided its forces to respond to multiple threats. Their cohesion is breaking." Adrian nodded. "Good. Time to unleash the reserves." He pulled up a map of the solar system and activated a hidden fleet of repurposed freighters. Originally designed to haul raw materials, these ships were now armored and armed with kinetic weaponry. As they launched from hidden bases, their targets became clear: the Scilaxy command ships. Squar's command deck erupted into chaos as reports flooded in. "Commander," an officer shouted, "our fleet is under attack on all fronts. The humans are organized." Squar finished, his mandibles twitching with rage. "How?" "They're supposed to be disorganized scavengers. They've mobilized hidden assets," the officer stammered. "Our supply lines are compromised. The asteroid field is." "What about the asteroid field?" Squar snapped. "It's moving, Commander." Squar turned to the main display, where a live feed showed fragments of Earth's remains being deliberately repositioned by human drones. The asteroids formed a blockade, trapping Scilaxy ships within a deadly gauntlet. "Humans," Squar growled, "are pests." "No," Kira's voice interrupted over the comms. "We're survivors. And pests don't build traps." The display flickered again, this time revealing the full scale of the human resistance. Plasma drills, chemical weapons, mining drones, and commandeered freighters surrounded the Scilaxy fleet. Squar stared, realization dawning too late. "Commander," a trembling officer said, "orders?" Squar's mandibles clicked furiously. "Retreat on Mars." Adrian raised a fist in triumph as the Scilaxy fleet began to break formation. "Atlas, you know what to do." "Already done, Commander," Atlas said. "Initiating final phase. Operation Domino." As Kira Cho sipped her coffee aboard Station Apex, she smiled at the sight of Scilaxy ships detonating one by one. The trap had worked perfectly, their overconfidence proving to be their downfall. "Oh, Squar," she murmured, raising her mug in a toast. "You should have known better than to mess with humans. Enjoy the chaos." And with that, humanity's comeback began in earnest. Squar seated on the bridge of Conqueror's Edge, His massive form coiled with fury as the Scilaxy fleet crumbled around him. The humans, those primitive creatures he had deemed insignificant, were now wielding their ingenuity like a dagger to his species' throat. The asteroid blockade was cutting off his supply routes, and the humans' improvised weaponry was wreaking havoc on his battle groups. Reports streamed in, painting a picture of total chaos. Drones swarming ships, chemical weapons disrupting Scilaxy crew physiology, and the humans' infuriating use of psychological tactics, leaving his officers dazed and hesitant. "Commander," an officer called, "we've detected a new signal, a concentrated energy buildup near the asteroid belt." Squar's mandibles clicked in alarm. "What now?" The main display lit up, revealing a massive asteroid hurtling toward the heart of the Scilaxy fleet. Humanity had weaponized Earth's remains, steering a colossal fragment with surgical precision using drones and gravity tethers. "They're using their own planet against us," the officer said, his voice trembling. "Brace for impact." Squar roared. On Station Apex, Kira Cho leaned against the console, her coffee mug balanced precariously on the edge. She watched the feed of Earth's fragment hurtling toward the Scilaxy fleet with grim satisfaction. "How poetic," she murmured. "You break our planet, we throw the pieces back at you." Arya's soothing voice cut in. "Ambassador Cho, the Scilaxy flagship has initiated a retreat sequence. Their forces are scattering." "Good," Kira said. "But don't let up. Coordinate with Adrian and Dakota. I want that fleet dismantled piece by piece." Mars base Olympus hummed with activity as Adrian Park directed the next phase of the operation. His command center was alive with holographic projections showing Scilaxy ships fleeing in disarray. "Atlas," he said, "target their retreat vectors. Force them into the asteroid belt." "Already done, Commander," Atlas replied. "Trajectory calculations are in progress." It's a shame they didn't account for the fact that humans map asteroid fields for a living. Adrian grinned. "Perfect. Let's remind them why you don't corner a species with nothing left to lose." The holograms flickered as Dakota Freeman patched in from her drone command center in the belt. Her face was flushed with excitement, her voice practically vibrating with energy. "Hey boss," Dakota said, "you're gonna love this. We've reconfigured the mining drones to create a little surprise for our buggy friends. Check this out." The display shifted to show a dense cluster of asteroids rigged with explosives. As the fleeing Scilaxy ships passed through the field, the drones detonated the charges, sending a deadly cascade of debris slicing through their formations. Adrian let out a low whistle. "Remind me never to get on your bad side, Dakota." "Smart man," she quipped. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a disco ball to deploy." Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, Dr. Raj Patel stood in the control room of his research station, monitoring the chaos above. His plasma drills had already done significant damage, and now his team was preparing their next move, a coordinated attack on the Scilaxy supply depots in orbit. "Raj," a technician said, "the Scilaxy are pulling back, but they've left behind automated defenses. Should we engage?" Raj stroked his beard thoughtfully. "No. Let them think they've secured the area. We'll hit them where it hurts later. Focus on refining the plasma streams. I want pinpoint accuracy when we take out their depots." The technician nodded, and Raj turned back to the console, muttering to himself. They wanted to play with fire. Let's see how they handle a flamethrower. On the Scilaxy flagship, Squar was losing what little composure he had left. The humans' relentless assault was unlike anything he had ever faced. They weren't just fighting back. They were dismantling his entire operation with terrifying efficiency. "Status report," he barked. "Commander, we've lost 40% of our fleet," an officer replied. "The humans are using the asteroid field to trap our forces. Their drones are—" "Enough!" Squar snarled. "Reroute all remaining ships to Sector 7. We'll regroup and launch a counteroffensive." Before his officers could respond, another alarm blared. The main display showed a new signal, a massive surge of energy emanating from Mars. "What now?" Squar growled. Back on Mars, Adrian stood at the helm of a newly activated weapon, the Solar Lance. Built in secret beneath the surface, the weapon harnessed solar energy to unleash a devastating beam of concentrated light. It was humanity's ace in the hole, a weapon of last resort that had been hastily completed after Earth's destruction. All systems online, Atlas announced. The lance is fully charged and ready to fire. Adrian took a deep breath, his finger hovering over the activation panel. Let's give them something to remember us by. Target the Galaxy command ship. The solar lance roared to life, a blinding beam of light cutting through the void. It struck the Conqueror's edge with pinpoint accuracy, tearing through its shields and hull like paper. The ship erupted in a massive explosion, sending shockwaves rippling through space. On Station Apex, Kira watched the detonation with a mixture of awe and satisfaction. She raised her coffee mug in a silent toast. To Earth, she murmured. And to the comeback no one saw coming. Arya chimed in. Ambassador Cho, the Galaxy forces are in full retreat. Victory is ours. Kira smiled, her eyes glinting with determination. Not yet, Arya. We're just getting started.